Got a few things on my report here, and a couple of these kind of go back to some things that we have talked about in past board meetings. We finally got the middle school musical scheduled right after basically our last board meeting. The matinee is actually happening tomorrow, and 2 performances are happening Thursday night and Friday night at 7 o'clock. Cost of tickets is $6. I'd encourage you to come if you like good arts productions. You're going to see it there. Those kids and those sponsors spend a lot of time. So a little bit of a plug for them. If you have nothing going on one of those nights, please attend. Number 2, there's currently 12 students taking course recovery, and for the most part, those are students who have failed a first semester course, and they have to recoup that first semester course second semester. We rearranged their schedules to make that work out, but they've got a couple of periods to be down in course recovery. Course recovery is kind of a last resort for us. We try to do a lot of intervention in between when we know a student is struggling. It could be anywhere from calling the parent in to setting up more communication with the parent of what's going on, and extra study hall time for a student. There's just a lot of things that we try to do before a kid fails a class and goes into course recovery. You'll also see one of the comments in there in item 2 that we also use that time a little bit for an at-risk study hall. Some of these students who are in course recovery obviously are still in some of their regular classes, and they're struggling in there also. So we try to use that a little bit to try to keep them up to speed on the current classes they're taking in the normal classroom, so they don't fail that second semester and then have to take another course recovery the next semester. So it's a continuing cycle with several of those students. It tends to be the same students who take course recovery. So we keep pretty good track of them, but it's just a matter of trying to keep them out of course recovery. Course recovery is a great program that we have at the middle school. It's been a great addition, I think, for our kids, and I think some kids need it. A while back, we had some conversation about school permits. We have 2 more students that are going to be eligible for school permits. We've had one student driving to school for about 3 months now. It's gone very well. He follows his direct route that has been assigned to him, parks exactly where he's supposed to be. There has been no issues. Just a reminder of how I do that. I sit down with the parent and the student. We talk about, here's the specific route the student needs to take to school. We avoid as much student pedestrian traffic as we can, as well as bus traffic, obviously, just so that students are still able to drive, but they're getting there safely and everyone else is safe. So I will be meeting with this parent and the 2 students, they're twins. I'll be meeting with them on Thursday. So very soon we will have a couple extra drivers. I'll skip down here. I won't read everything for you. Number 5 is just, we're kind of to that time of the year where we need to start talking about transitioning students from one level to another. For the middle school, that means we need to start talking about a 4th grade activity to get the Wall Lake students and the SAC students together, and just get them mixed in, get them a tour of the middle school building in preparation for next year, talk to them a little bit about some of the expectations of next year. And it's kind of nice because not every one of the outside of school activities they're doing together, but there are some activities outside of school that those students are doing together. The basketballs, the 4th grade SAC and the 4th grade Wall Lake View Auburn students were together for basketball. So that should be, there's some ties there. Same thing with the girls basketball, ties there. So it's nice, the more that those students can be together, interact with each other before this time, the better that it is. Our 8th grade students also need to be transitioned to the high school. So typically what we do is they come down here for a couple hours, they take a tour, Mr. Litter and Ms. Walton talk to them about courses. You know, Ms. Walson does a lot of registration conversation with them for the next year as well. So those types of things are starting to be conversed about and in the works. And the last thing I have there, I guess more on a personal note, is just a thank you to the fellow administrators for covering for me when I had to be on. And I'm not going to say anything more about that. So, questions for me?
Who teaches the course recovery?
We have two people down there. Lori Niehaus is down there for two periods, and a part of their job is really connectedness with those students. You know, it's more of a, it's not, definitely not a one-on-one setting, but it's not, you're walking into a classroom of 20 kids either. So a big part of their job is sitting down with the student, talking with them about their assignments, working with them if they missed something. Okay, why did you miss this? So it's developing a rapport is very important. And Mrs. Whitty also does one period. So we have 3 periods of course recovery with, again, some of those at-risk study hall kids mixed in.
Are there any certain courses that these kids keep having problems with? I mean, math or science?
It's kind of across the board. It's all core courses, so it's math, reading, science, language arts, and I'm missing social studies. So it's all the core courses, and for the most part, all the courses are set up where if I failed last semester, I sit down at a computer, and it's online stuff that I'm doing, along with some worksheets then that I take back to the instructor, and she corrects them and talks to me about what you do wrong here and what you need to recorrect. So then I bring that back and I start working back through the corrections. And then they have to pass with a 70% in order to move on to the next chapter.
Once kids go into intervention for a semester, are they in for the whole semester? Or
Not necessarily, no. And that's a little bit different of an item than like course recovery. Let's say that Chris is struggling with reading, and we know that right away at the beginning of the school year because of his last year's ITBS results, and you know what the teacher said last year. You know, he can read quickly, but he just doesn't comprehend. So we'll stick him into intervention pretty much right away at the beginning of the school year. Now, after 7-8 weeks of work with the intervention teacher, that teacher, you know, and we graph, he'll do passages just like what Chris and Mike were talking about earlier, and over time we'll graph how he's doing on those passages. And if we see enough improvement, or you know what, he's at the level where he needs to be for where he's at, you know, developmental-wise, grade-wise, that type of thing, then you know what, we can move him out.
So it's not grade, it's just a level. It's not necessarily if they move from a C and D to a B or an A or something.
No, it's totally comprehension, which is kind of an accuracy type of thing. How much he reads a passage, he's got 10 questions to answer. You know what? He consistently gets 9 out of 10 correct. And then fluency is how many words per minute is he reading. And if he's at both of those levels long enough, where you know what, he's right along with his peers, then let's move him out of intervention. And then we, you know, those kids though, we still keep a pretty close eye on because it's pretty easy to dip back down, and then they can always get moved back in. So there's a lot of tracking with that, which is very good. Very good. Thank you.